Hi, we're here at Los Arboleros Farm at the Regeneration Field Institute in Manabí, Ecuador. This is a 1 hectare system. We call it a system Syntropic 1. It's the first one that we made. Now we're entering into the 4th winter of this system. So this was a really compacted soil, had had a lot of glyphosate, a lot of cars that would come to harvest citrus that really compacted the soil here. And what we did at first is we chopped down the whole citrus orchard, and then we made the lines with all that hardwood from the trunks and stumps and branches of the citrus. We have Mombasa grass planted here in the middle. We have Brazilian fern tree. We have Inga. We have Eucalyptus urophilia. In some of the rows we have teak also, which right now don't have leaves because we're at the tail end of the dry season, or really the beginning of the rainy season. And so in this system, you can see some of the cacao is starting to really take off. The cacao has only been planted in here for about 1.5 years. It was planted after the full system was planted. If we had it to do again, we'd plant it earlier, but we thought we had to improve the soil and the shade conditions a little bit before we planted it. Here is a madre de agua, or like we call it here in Ecuador, nasadera. This is a wonderful low strata biomass producer. We just planted this last year, and I'm really happy with the performance of the nasadera. It's really uniform throughout the system and producing a nice canopy for the cacao. So in this system, we're getting ready in about 2 weeks' time to do an aggressive pruning of all of the emergent canopy. So we're talking the Brazilian fern tree, we're talking some leucaena, we're talking Inga, we're talking the urophilia, the eucalyptus. Really all the trees in the emergent canopy layer, or almost all of them, will come through and prune back to 5 meters. If you look up at the Brazilian fern tree, here you can see where it was pruned at 5 meters last time, about 4 or 5 months ago before the dry season. And then now it has a good another, what is that, 5 meters of growth on it maybe. And then the eucalyptus the same. And so we'll be pruning down that 5 to 6 meters of the tops of all the trees, and then using that to mulch the tree lines. I think I would say that right now in the system, we're really just now entering the accumulation phase of the system. The trees are juvenile, but a little bit bigger, and the amount of biomass that we cut down by cutting all the tree canopy at 5 meters is going to be a really significant quantity of biomass to go into the rows. Directly after we prune down that, the tops of the trees, we'll also come through and prune this Mombasa grass, which in 3 weeks' time will be, really ready and big. And all that biomass of the Mombasa we'll put on top of the pruned down branches and leaves of the Brazilian fern tree, the eucalyptus, the Inga, leucaena, all the other species that we have in the emergent layer. And by doing that, we're going to trap in all the goodness, all the nitrogen, all the different moisture and nutrients that mulched down tree matter has, so that what we don't want is for it to just dry out on top of the tree line without being covered by the Mombasa, because then we'll lose a lot of the nutrients as it oxidizes and dries out on top. So that's coming up here in the next 3 weeks in this system. And we just wanted to take this opportunity to film here and explain the phase that we were at, and sort of also explain that we're really hoping that the growth pulse that happens from this aggressive pruning that we're about to do really gives us our first noticeable growth pulse and benefit to the plants around those trees. Of course, there'll be the impact also of opening up more sunlight and getting more sunlight down to the cacao, the avocados, the bananas, the mangoes, a lot of the sort of the target crops that are in the right now in the medium and low stratas of this system. But we expect that the matrix of all the tree roots are now big enough and spreading out enough through the tree rows that the gibberellic acid and growth pulse response from the topping of them and the pruning of them will create maybe our first really noticeable benefit for the understory crops that we're growing here. So stay tuned for that. We'll make another video after the pruning down of everything and update you on how it's looking.